Welcome to this video, the first part of a new series about chess tactics, chess calculation. Yeah, you notice a totally different screen. What I'm doing here in the first part of the series will also feature tactical positions, calculation exercises, studies, things like that. But the first thing I'm going to do in the series is to do something that was requested multiple times, that I should actually solve some tactical problems in real time with a tactics trainer. There are many of those online. What I'm using here is the tactics trainer of chess.com. Unfortunately, the screen is, or let's say the screen state of the actual board is relatively little. I couldn't really, saw no way to enlarge the board. So I actually tried to record this and then try to blow up the board afterwards a bit. I hope this is an acceptable quality. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to solve those problems and trying to explain the approach in calculation. This is the first position that is presented to me. I reset my tactics rating, so I'm starting with with no rating actually. Okay, this is the first position, white to play, and the first thing that is apparent is that time is urgent. We don't have time for slow moves. Black is attacking the rook on e1. I don't think I can do any annotation here. No, I can't. The rook on e1 is attacked with mate. We need to be quick. And we also have a couple of pieces near the king. It's always important to determine, if you attack the king, what pieces are actually involved in the attack. We don't need to look at, let's say, much about the rook moves from the rook on e1 or something. It must be about rook on g7, bishop on h6, and the queen. And in fact, we see that queen g7 would be checkmate, but the rook is on g7. Rook g8, he can play rook takes g8 and cover g7, but we can take on h7 and mate on g7. So my first score is 1075. Okay, going to, I got a low score of 20% because it took me 8 minutes. Yeah, I needed to set up the recording and so on. Okay, the next problem, and I don't care much about the time that is needed. Okay, so we have white, and computer here is playing rook to g8. The queen is attacked. We have, what is this actually? We have 5 pawns for the piece. Interesting. And our queen is attacked. Yeah, again we should probably play some tactical or direct continuation with a check probably. How to play this? If I think about queen f5 check, I see that the king only has a couple of responses. King c7, there's rook d7 check, we win the queen and the game probably. If we go queen f5 check, king b8, there's rook b5, which looks like it wins the queen again. Does black have a defense? Only relevant defense after rook b5 would be rook takes g2 check. Queen take, king takes g2, knight d4 check. It's just a check, no double check. But I can take on b7 with check. So queen f5 check should win this. Yeah, king c7, there was rook d7 winning the queen, and now we should win the queen with rook b5. Yeah, just 80%, took me too long. Okay, next problem. Okay, black is playing this move. Yeah, what to do here? Yeah, we see that black's king is in some trouble. It's on f8. The pawn is on f7, very important attacking piece, attacking unit. Rook is on f1. Yeah, we should always think about how can we maybe promote the pawn. And here the move queen g8 check comes into mind immediately. Rook takes, pawn takes, promotes with check. Check from the rook on f1 and the queen, so double check. And if after queen g8 he plays king e7, we promote f8. So if you have those far advanced pawns, always think about promotion combinations. Is there anything better, like a mate in 2 or something? I don't think so. So this should be the winner. Yeah, and here we can just promote and win this thing with two queens. There is probably also a mate, but it's enough. Okay, next one. Okay, we're playing as black here. Queen e2. Okay, yeah. What comes into mind here? Yeah, pins. Pins are a very important feature in chess, and here we have a pin. The bishop on g4 pins the knight to the queen. And also very important is to recognize that there is a pawn on g3 which weakens the knight. The knight is unstable on f3. It's not protected by a pawn. And the second thing that comes to mind is that on d4 there is a pawn that is only protected by the knight and not by a pawn. So if white would have a pawn on c3, this isn't a big problem, but here we can take and just win the house. Yeah, the computer here playing the move recaptured, but otherwise we would have won a piece as well. This pin is too much. Important is to note the weaknesses in the position. d4 was weak, f3 was unprotected by a pawn, and this pin. So here we just win the queen. Yeah, low score. I take too long. Okay. Next one. Black. The computer here is taking on e6. Yeah, here we see that we can take on e6 with many pieces, the pawn, the knight, the queen, and yeah, we should examine them. But queen takes e6 is the first move that really comes to mind. It gets the queen near the king with a check, and if you have this opportunity, you should always check if this is the right move. Very often it will be, because the queen as the strongest attacking piece should be near the king. Yeah, here we have a classic example of the smothered mate. Knight f7 check. Knight h6 check, double check, very important. King f8 is also mate on g8 or f7. This one, and mate. This can be seen relatively quickly if you know this smothered mate motif, then it's quite obvious. Okay. The next one we play as white. Yeah, okay. So in this position, what should be the first thing that pops into our mind? The pin. The pin on the long diagonal. Queen is on c3, black queen is on d4. The pin here means that the queen on d4 cannot move freely. And we have a great move to exploit that. This is rook d1. It's quite cute. The queen takes, and now, of course, not the recapture. It's not mandatory to recapture immediately. We have rook takes d7. The intermediate move, or Zwischenzug, that wins us a rook with check. Now we take on c3 and we are rook up. So important, the pin, and noticing that rook takes d7 is a check, so we can just win the rook. Okay, the next one. We are playing black, and a5 was played. So what are features of this position? White has the a pawn. That looks dangerous. So we should probably be quick about things, not not lose any time. We have some pieces in the attack, both rooks doubled on the f-file and the queen on h5. So what are mating motifs? One mating motif here would be a rook on h1, for example, with the rook on g2. This could easily happen. Let's check. Yeah, rook h3 looks very tempting. We're just threatening the mate on h1. Yeah, after rook h3, what should white do? It's difficult. There's not only the mate, but also rook h1 check, king moves, rook takes a1, winning the rook. Yeah, it's very difficult to defend. I don't see a defense. Rook h3 seems to win. Important to note that this rook on g2 is not very helpful. It just allows this mate on h1. So this should be right. Yeah, what should white do? There's this mate, and if you go to f1, I cannot move the pieces. If you go to f1, there's a check on h1, rook g1. Is this actually directly winning or not? Queen h3 check, king e2. Queen f3 will win. Okay, it's a bit. Why can I not? I cannot really move the pieces here, unfortunately. Okay, the next one. We are playing as black. Played knight f3. Yeah, there are pins all over the place. But it's equal material, right? One big thing is our rook on e8 is protected, so I can just take the queen, right? And then take d3. Well, that was a bit easy. So black has just won a piece. Okay. Next one. Yeah, queen took on e4 is the move. Yeah, okay, here the queen on e4 is only protected by the knight, and with bishop takes e3 we can take off this knight and just win a piece. Easy. I guess I need some harder problems. Okay, yeah, here white selects moves rook f1, so we can take f1 with both rooks. Rook e1 takes is possible, or rook f1 is possible. It's important to note the pin on the long diagonal, so after any capture there's only queen g1 as an intermediate move. Not intermediate move, as an interposing move that does something about the check. If we take with the e-rook, however, queen g1, and we take it, we're not winning immediately. But if we take with the f-rook, there's only queen g1 and mate next. Yeah, the problem is I only get very little scores because and therefore the problems are not getting much more difficult. Next one. Rook f1 checkmate. The pass rate for that is only 60%. 40% didn't see the mate. That's weird. Okay, the next one. Okay, king to g7. Yeah, white to move, and it's about the pawns. Yeah, white should try to promote the pawns. Look at checks first. This is always a good idea. Here h6 check comes into mind. With h6 check, black cannot take the knight. h8 queen promotes. So this is the winner. And we get a new queen. If he would have gone to h8, there's rook c8 with checkmate next. And we win. Just 13 points. Okay, next problem. Black to move. Yeah, black's king is in some trouble here. But how do we actually mate him? Yeah, the first idea is bishop g5 check. After that, the king really only can go to e1, and then we take the rook. I don't know. Is there something better? I don't think so. So let's just grab everything. And now let's first check, is there a better move than taking the rook? We give the check here again. He can go to d2. I don't see a mate. I just grab this rook and continue from here. Yeah, this will lead to a mate sooner or later. Bishop e3 probably with queen g1 mate or queen f2 mate. Oh no, sorry, he can take. Yeah, then this one. Okay. Just 21 points. Okay. Next one. Take some time to get to a higher rating here. Yeah, this we had before, the smothered mate. Easy to see with the double check. And that's it. 21 points. Okay. Queen to b6. Yeah, here we have a typical position. Black is attacking with all heavy pieces, and he will be able to deliver checkmate just by a series of checks. Rook takes g2 must be right in this position. It is right. Okay, the way to I cannot really put it on the board here, right? After king takes, there's rook g4 check, king h3, queen f3 check, king h2, rook takes h4, and rook h1 mate. There is too much attacking power here. King takes g2, queen g4 check will probably also win. Check, king h2, queen takes h4, king g2, queen g5 check, king f3, queen f5 check. Yeah, it's also a mate. Rook g4 is just a bit quicker. Okay, the next one. I think it's quite funny that they have mate in one here. Double check mate. Still only 60% of people manage that. I don't know. Yeah, mate in one. The only mate in one, right? Double checks. Always look for double checks. They are pretty difficult to defend. Okay. Yeah, black grabbed on c3. Very greedy move. And here we have a typical situation. We can take on c3 and bishop h7. Very typical motif, winning the queen. a3. Okay, yeah, our knight is attacked, but still we are not forced to immediately move this piece. We should also consider other things. In this particular situation, it is clear that the dark squares are enormously weakened. H4, G3, E3. White is lacking his dark squared bishop. The move that comes to mind here is queen takes e5. Queen takes e5, a b4, bishop e3 should win the house. Queen e5, d e5, rook takes d2. Rook takes d2, bishop e3, check, king moves bishop d2. And we are piece up and attacking the c1 rook. Yeah, this wins a piece. So let's check queen e5, d e5, rook d2, a b4. Then we at least have bishop takes e3 winning. Yeah, queen e5 is right. Yeah, and bishop d2 next. And black is a piece up. Just 6 points. Okay, next one. Okay. Yeah, white to move in this position. Yeah, very dramatic position. It's what are we with? It's not we are nothing, we're only a pawn down. That's not too bad. But okay, it's about the attack, of course. We should always check the very forcing moves, checks and captures. And here, if we start to do that, we see that we have some pieces in the attack, the queen and the bishop. If we look at the forcing moves, we will see this move at some point. Mate. Just mate in two. Always look at checks and captures, and here it's both at the same time. Okay, next one. Maybe I can get to 1500 at least. Okay, knight to f7. Now this hardly looks like a combination or a tactic. More like an endgame. Okay, what should white do? Yeah, the pawn should be promoted. Let's think about this position. If we go king to g6, we are threatening rook c8 mate, and rook takes f7, of course. After this, black will give the check on e5. King f6, knight g4 check. It does not look like we are promoting immediately. King f6 looks easier, intending still rook c8. If he goes knight to d6, how are we going to win then? Yeah, rook d7 should win. Knight e4 check, king g6, and we have rook d8 next. Knight e8 check, king g6, knight g7 is still made after rook d8. Yeah, very often the move that is not a check is the right one. This should be the case here. Computer is not playing. I even get points subtracted here. This is not fair. I'm doing a video here. Okay, so knight d6 covering c8. There was rook d7, and this should win. Okay. Okay, queen to b5 and black to play here. Yeah, what we see in this position, rather quickly I hope, white's queen is right in black's camp, and it does not have many squares. In fact, we control the a file, we control b4, c5, d5. I think if we just attack the queen, it should be true. It should be won. Just rook b8, I guess. Okay. Yeah, this is actually, we can also take the knight, but then queen g5, so probably just get the queen. Hey, 11 points. Let's see, next one. Okay, black to play here. Knight d5. Yeah, he's attacking on c7. Yeah, of course we have some pieces in the attack as well. Let's see. Yeah, the problem is we control f2, sorry, f2 and e1, and we control e2. And if we would give him a check, we will win material. And here we can just play bishop g4, I think. Yeah, bishop e2 check is coming next, and black will win the queen. White can give this check, but it's not helping. King d8, and then queen and knight is attacked. So this is a winner. So the next one. Queen takes f5. Okay. Yeah, here we see that white has a number of pieces in the attack. Pawn on e6, knight on g5, and the rook. And yeah, when we start to calculate here, queen takes f5 is a move that we definitely need to check. It's very forcing. Black has to recapture, and then the g file is opened. So after g takes knight f7 is made made in one move. Yeah, here we can just take e6. And king h8, there's d5 or d takes c5 with a mate to come. Okay. Okay, bishop c5. Yeah, how does white win here? We have a very strong attack. Knight on f6, bishop on h6. Black's king is boxed in really on h8. The only thing we need to do is to get the queen involved. If we move the queen on the g file somewhere, he will take the knight. I think there is a simple way to do it. Just here, queen h7 mate, and he has no defense against that. Can maybe take queen takes mate next move. Bishop to f1. Okay. Yeah, this does not look as obvious. We don't have an attack on the king or anything, but still white's position looks a bit out of harmony. Knight on c2 in particular. We should check checks, captures, attacks, and here we can attack the queen with knight b3, and a closer look shows this queen has no square. Just winning the queen here. Okay, 10 points. Yeah, this is a very well-known mating motif that has always been one of my favorite mates. I only recently discovered that this actually has a name, and it is associated to a player called Boden. Boden's mate, and this is the mate. Very nice. Can easily be overlooked. This is a very typical way that it is delivered. It really happens in games, so something to take note of in this situation. Okay, the next one. Let's get at least to 1600 or something. Okay, king c7. Okay, we should look at checks, captures, as mentioned, and double checks are especially attractive. Here we have two. Knight e8 double check and knight b5 double check. And if we look at knight b5 double check, king c8, we will see that looking at the next check, knight takes a7, is very rewarding. It's a mate. Only 9 points for that. Okay. Next one. Let's see how many points I get if I actually don't talk and just play the move out. Knight b7, mate in 2. This is 100% score, but only gives me 13 points. So it's probably a long way to get high there. I resetted my score. I had made some tactics. I had solved some. I had 2000 something, 2000 200, 300 or something, but it seems to take a while to get this tactic trainer to a little bit more sophisticated positions. I hope you enjoyed it anyway. I think maybe some of you expected more difficult positions where I have to calculate a bit more, but it's there is no other way. We need to start little here with the score and climb up. So if I do this the next time, or when I do this the next time, the positions will be certainly more difficult. I hope you enjoyed it. Anyway, thanks for watching.